Hi everyone, welcome back to Spyro the Dragon. We are now going into Gnorc Cove. Yeah. This is, the last couple of levels in the game. Obviously there is, well, it might not be obvious right off the bat, but, if you noticed, at the end of the last segment, that there are 3 hungry hippo heads after Gnorc Cove, and they are but there's only 2 levels before Gnorc. This one that was in like a normal sort of level thing, and then there are 3 hungry hippo heads, but only one of them has a level, and then the other one has the Gnasty Gnorc fight. And so an inquisitive player or viewer may be wondering, well, what is the 3rd hungry hippo? And it is Gnorc's like treasure trove, basically, and yeah, you need all the gems and all the dragons, and I believe all the eggs to get in. I don't know if you need all the eggs, but I know you need all the dragons and all the gems, which I have not done, and I did not do in this run, so if you care about seeing that, then sorry. I do think that what I might do, I don't know when, because there's a bunch of stuff that I want to try to stream in the coming weeks and months, and whenever I start potentially going back to work, even though I'm really not in any sort of position to be doing that, not even just personally, but, as a society, I don't think we are at a place where I would say it is a good idea to be sending people back to work, even though we are, but alas. But yeah, whenever that happens, I'll have even less time to stream, so I want to get in what I can before then. So I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I'm thinking of maybe streaming myself getting the last of the gems and dragons. I'll probably look at a guide beforehand. I'm not going to remember which gems I got, so that's going to be probably the biggest pain in the ass, but finding the dragons, I mean, they're like big crystal dragon formations, I'm sure that, and they're in specific locations, so I'm sure I'll be able to find those a little bit easier, but I would have to watch through a whole long play of the game without looking away and actually remember which gems I picked up, and that is just not going to happen. So I'm not going to be able to do that, and I don't want to do that. So I don't know how I'm going to go about that process of figuring out what gems I need to get, but it shouldn't be too bad, because as I've said before, the process of looking for all the dragons I've missed should coincide pretty well with getting all of the gems I missed. The ones that I'm most worried about are the levels where I have everything except 5 gems. So that means that there's just some fucker somewhere that I killed but then died, or didn't collect the gem for and didn't notice. And so I basically just have to play through the whole level again and do everything. Or it's off some beaten path in some nook or cranny that I just have to search around for hours for. But the ones where I'm missing 50 gems and 2 dragons, I feel like those will be a little bit easier to do at the same time, because I'm sure that whatever, the ones where I'm missing whole sections of levels, because I don't know how to get to them or whatever, I feel like those will be the easier ones to get everything, because I'm assuming that the places that have the dragons that I missed also have the bulk of the gems that I missed. But who knows? I certainly don't. And yeah, then I would either I probably won't upload the streams of me getting all the stuff, but I would at that point either just make a video of me doing the Gnorc's loot, I think it's called, level, or I would just stream that as well whenever I'm done with getting all the stuff, and then I would cut that part and either way upload it as a bonus episode to this. Obviously, probably a good amount of time after the LP proper has finished, but just for the sake of completion and for the sake of showing off the game, because it's a good game, it's fun, I like collecting all the things. Collecting all the things is like a pretty major part of the game, and so I just feel like, and like I want to do it, I want to get 100%, or I guess 120% on this game, just because, I don't know, it's just the kind of game that I would, like, be okay with trying to get 120% in. Or, I mean, really just 100. When I say 100%, for all intents and purposes, I mean get everything in the game. You know, like, do everything in the game, not just the 100% that unlocks the stuff that lets you get to 120%. Because it's dumb. There is no 120%. You either finish all of what's in the game or you don't. So that's what I'm talking about.
I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe.
I do not know what the point of that conversation was. The dragon dialogue in this game, like, gets less, like, helpful or, like, funny as the game goes on. I don't know. I just, like... Or it just, like, feels wonkier. I don't know how to explain it, but it just seems like, I don't know. The dragons don't have as much of interest to say, I suppose. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, speaking of streaming, and in the vein of something I've been talking about a lot in recent videos, and obviously that I talk about all the time on this channel, about revisiting old things from back in the before times. Not only before COVID, but back when I was a child, and back when life was simple, at least from my perspective. You know, I was talking in this week's Over the Hedge videos about the ephemeral, like, I don't know how to describe it. Ephemeral is the best, like, adjective for it that I can think of, but I don't know what word to call just, you know, the, I guess the ephemeral nostalgia is, for lack of a better term, for 2006 specifically, but really just, like, the mid-2000s, and specifically the movies and stuff that were coming out then, and just what I was doing then, the internet stuff I was doing then. That kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Also, I just realized I think I cut out me going into that other hallway, that, like, the one that goes in the other direction, by accident. So I apologize. There's not much in there, just some gems pretty much. But hey, look at that, I got all the gems. Isn't that cool? This level is actually pretty easy for being in the last world of the game. The next one is a little bit more challenging, but even then, I don't think it's among the hardest levels. I mean, to me, the most difficult levels, and when I say difficult, I mean, like, the most difficult to get everything in, are the ones that are, like, very supercharged and flying heavy. And, thankfully, for me at least, pretty much none of them are in this world, in the Gnorc land. For whatever reason, they're not very heavy on the flying or supercharging. There is some supercharged stuff to be had in this level, which gave me a little bit of trouble, but it's completely optional. Like, there's no dragons in, like, the direction you have to take. There are, however, these dudes with guns, and specifically the machine gun guys that we're gonna see in a minute, are particularly aggravating because they do like the rapid fire, and the hitbox on their bullets is really strange. Like, I will be thinking like I'm definitely jumping over these things, but then they'll hit me. And I don't know how these things work. Like, I always thought that you could fly into them and they would still do it, and that was bullshit. I wish that your fire had more of a what am I, like a blast radius, but not with a blast. I don't know what you call, you know, when things shoot outward as well as forward. I don't know what you would call that, but I wish your fire thing had more of that. But anyway, yeah, thinking about the mid-2000s, and just for whatever reason, 2006 in particular, and movies from 2006 just have a spot in my mind that just fills me with comfort, fills me with visions of a simpler age, of a simpler mindset that I had, and, you know, the youthful ignorance and innocence that we all, I think, aspire to regain to some degree. I certainly do. And the fact that I already am doing it when I'm 23 is kind of not reassuring. But it's, you know, obviously kind of easy to be despairing and wishing to go back to a supposed simpler time in these times. And at least for me, it's like, I want to go back to 2006 because I was a baby and I didn't know what was going on anywhere with anybody because I shouldn't be expected to as an 8-year-old. And I just want to go back to the thing in the forefront of my mind was like, you know, I'm really mad that I can't beat this level in like a SpongeBob game, or, you know, like I'm trying to memorize all of the task names, all the mission names in the Shrek 2 video game or whatever, but and like, you know, what I spend my day doing is like acting out movie ideas with Legos and Thomas the Tank Engine toys, and then like going on IMDb and looking at what's slated for release in the murky futuristic year of like 2010. I remember in like the mid-2000s, specifically after it had been announced, this was when it was just like an inkling, and like it wasn't in actual production yet, and I think that the plot synopsis was completely different as well. But when Toy Story 3 was announced in like 2005, 2006, I remember seeing, when you would search for Toy Story, you would see Toy Story 1 and 2, and then the next one would be Toy Story 3 2010. And I just remember the feeling of, in 2005, 2006, seeing the year 2010 and being like, oh, wow. Like, I was like, oh, fuck, that's in the future, man. Like, 2010, like, it just sounded cool. And, like, the idea of a third Toy Story movie, like, and, you know, there's still some things where I have that feeling now, but not nearly as much, because it's a weird confluence of circumstances where I, like, and I hope other people can feel this as well, and that was stupid, but whatever. This is my successful attempt at this. You have to keep this supercharged for quite a bit of time. This is the most challenging thing in the level, in my opinion, other than, you know, the guys who shot me like 40 times and are the reason for this edit that's coming up in a moment. Not this one, but another one in a little bit. But anyway, it's this weird combination, this paradoxical combination of knowing in certain ways that some things will be a certain way. Like, I don't get as excited about a lot of like big future blockbuster movies because I can kind of imagine most of them. I've seen enough of them, and I also know, like, the trends of filmmaking aren't really changed much in the last like decade or whatever, in terms of like blockbuster filmmaking, what they will feel like and everything. I don't know. there's not that same sense of like wonderment with future projects to me that I had when I was a kid, and I miss feeling that way. The other half of it is not knowing how things are going to go, and by that I mean the world. Like, now I'm much more acutely aware, and especially now it's just been exacerbated, and the window of time until the point of uncertainty is so much shorter. But I just know I'm more acutely aware now that things could change, and that like I don't know what is going to be going on in a year, 5 years, 10 years. And when I was a kid, that filled me with wonder. That made me excited because it was a new thing, and I was also under the impression that the forward march of time meant positive things. But now I don't have that. I'm much more cynical now. So I don't know. I miss that. Like, I remember in like 2007, 2008. There was early concept art for Lego Universe, which I think, did that later become Lego Dimensions, or did they make Lego Universe? I think they just put out Lego Universe, but it was supposed to be a Lego MMO, and like a sandbox where you could build stuff, and just the idea of that, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm in, please do that, I'm a big Lego head, I want that. And just, I remember seeing the concept art, and it was just like otherworldly and colorful, not necessarily in its design, just to me, psychologically at the time. I was like, I feel like I'm looking at a snapshot of a future that I am going to eventually, and just thinking about, like, one day I will play it was really exciting. And then, of course, maybe one of the reasons I'm so cynical now is that time came and went, and I never fucking played Lego Universe because it got shitty reviews on release, and it went defunct in like 2 years, so, because apparently it wasn't all that great. But yeah, all of this was to set up, talking about playing Toontown, but now I don't have a whole lot of time to actually do that. But, yeah, going back and playing that has been nice, and put me in a similar sort of state. And the good thing is that people who play Toontown, by and large, are very, like, polite and personable and helpful, and so a lot of that same sort of childlike, and I'm, like, playing it with a friend and everything, and, like, orchestrating and like, strategizing with them, and that's what I did when I was a kid, so that sort of, like, childlike part of my experience of that game has sort of remained more intact than others, which is nice. Anyway, next time we're taking on Gnasty Gnorc, so I'll see you then for the end of the game.